On today's episode, I have Brenden Kumarasamy. He is the host of the MasterTalk YouTube channel. He started to help the world master the art of public speaking and communication. He coaches purpose-driven entrepreneurs on how to master their message and share their ideas with the world. You guys can find him over on YouTube and Instagram. Enjoy this conversation. This is not only going to help those that are bloggers trying to grow their blog, but anybody who's writing any messaging for clients. He gives us a little exercise and really hones in on the nurse themselves. So take a listen. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Savvy Scribe Podcast, a podcast for healthcare professionals who want to build a profitable writing business. I'm your host, Janine Kalbach. I'm a wife, mother of two incredible boys, labor and delivery nurse who created my own profitable writing business back in 2015, and I'm ready to share my secrets along the way with some help from some incredible guests. My goal is to help you open up your creative mind with my podcast, courses, and Facebook group, the Savvy Scribe Collective, to help you build your own profitable writing business. So let's take a listen. Well, the numbers are in for September, and all my nurse writers, you have now grown again to 45 nurse writers. We have 30 happy clients. I've paid out $21,413 to just nurse writers since March. And there are plenty of writing opportunities for you insiders. If you are wondering what the heck is a Savvy Scribe Insider, come on over and purchase the course, Plan, Create, Launch, Land, and Grow Your Health Writing Business by going to thesavvyscribepodcast.com and click on courses. And after you take the course, you are eligible to then get free access to the group, the Savvy Scribe Insiders. Inside there, you're going to get free access to profitable writing jobs, special live events, discounts and coupons, support from the most elite writers, new course access before anyone else, and podcast insights as well, plus much more. So all you have to do, join the course to gain your inside access, and you'll get your first paid writing job. It's like it pays for itself. So thank you guys again for all your hard work, and we are going to crush it again in October. Today's star listener is Health Writer RN. She left a 5-star review and said, Janine gives timely and actionable tips to start you on the path towards starting and growing your own health writing business, as well as interviews with successful writers in the field. I review podcasts as needed to refresh and review. Thanks, Janine, for sharing your knowledge. No, thank you for listening. If you guys want to be featured on the show as a star listener, I would be more than happy to read your review on the air. Just go on to your podcast app right now and leave a 5-star review and a little comment. I really appreciate it, and so do our listeners. Thank you so much. Welcome, Savvy Scribes, to another episode of the Savvy Scribe Podcast. Today, I have Brenden with us today. He is going to give us a lot of insight on what he does for a living and how we are going to incorporate his messaging into our writing skills. So welcome to the show, Brenden.
Thanks for having me, Janine. Such a pleasure.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about you and what you're here to tell us about today.
Of course. So my name's Brenden. I'm the founder of MasterTalks. It's a YouTube channel that I started to help the world master the art of communication and public speaking. And when I got started in this field, I was around 19, 20 years old. I was in university. And I did these things called case competitions. So think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So instead of playing sports all day, like a lot of the people my age did and watch sports games, I did that with presentations. So anyways, did a lot of that and then started these videos to help some people out on how to speak better. But I think in the context of today's podcast, I really want to focus on how do we use those same communication tips to make our writing more simpler, more effective, so that everyone has the time to listen to us, read us, and consume the information we have to share.
That's awesome. That's going to be very helpful. And so you started out on YouTube. Now, did you do this? Like, were you working another job? Like, were you making any money at this time?
You got it. I actually still have that day job. So I'm a technology consultant. That's what I do day to day. And then outside of that, I spend every other second on the YouTube channel.
So you truly are a nerd. Like,
yeah, you got it.
Love it.
All the way through.
Where are you from?
I'm based in Montreal.
Montreal, very good, very good. All right, so yeah, tell us a little bit about, how we can communicate better as nurse writers and nurses in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first step whenever we're trying to get better at a skill, whether it's for the amazing nurses who are listening or, even it's just a new instrument that you want to learn, you always want to compare yourself to people who are doing much better. Not to be sad or anything, but rather to take the best practices that they have to offer. So I think one good analogy that I could give for people to take a look at is Seth Godin's blog. So Seth, for those who don't know, he has one of the top blogs in the world, and he's a marketing genius. And what he does, he's actually been posting a blog every day since 1989. So he's
Wow.
he's been posting longer than I've been alive. That's how much he posts. It's
He's a great guy.
crazy.
He's really insightful, for sure.
Yeah, and I think what's great about him is he keeps his blogs really short, but very punchy. So one thing I like that he does that I think is a good way of looking at it. So let's say you're a nurse, because I know a lot of people, you're working a lot of shifts. You might not have time to write a blog in between your shifts. So what I like to do is I have a phone recorder, so a voice app on my phone. And whenever I have a thought or whenever I think of something, I either write it on a notepad in my phone. It's Google Keep for those who are looking into that. Or I have a recorder where I just say what I think um, loudly in a voice recorder. So that way, when I get my thoughts together for my blog or for something else I want to write, it's a lot easier for me to disseminate those ideas.
Yes, I've done that a lot myself. First, I love Google Keep. Have you used Google Tasks? I
No,
love
I
that too.
haven't.
Oh,
I
you
gotta
gotta
check that
use it.
out.
It's like really cool. And it integrates just with Gmail too, so you can like put an email as a task, and it's really cool. I love how everything Google does with their suite in general is pretty cool. But Google Keep is definitely one I've used instead of the Notes app like that I have on my iPhone because it doesn't integrate with my computer and all the things. So yeah, Google Keep I like because it's accessible anytime you're inside your Google email. So it's always nice. What voice app do you use? Is it a special app or is it just one on your phone?
You got it. It's just one on the phone, but I guess to add more layer to that for your audience. So what I mean by Google Keep and the way that I use it, and maybe Janine, you have a different approach on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But what I do is I don't try and write the blog because it's too exhausting. Instead, I write titles. So let's say when I started my YouTube videos, and this applies for video as well, I script everything. The reason is because I need to make sure that my thoughts are structured or else I'll lose people's attention. So that applies very much in the blog space. So what I do is I just write titles of things I want to write. And I always force myself, even if I have a 16-hour shift that day, which was yesterday, even in this, even in that situation, I do not go to bed until I've written 1,000 words.
Oh, that's a nice way to look at things. What a goal. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's every day. You do that every day.
I've been doing that every day for since COVID started. So it's been but
Good for you.
but here's the benefit, Janine. So let's say you're not like Seth, because Seth is insane. He posts every day, and he doesn't miss a day, even like Christmas. I'm like, what's going on here? But anyways, so for the less crazier version of Seth, which I'm sure is everyone else, let's say you post once a week. So the benefit of writing every day, or at least once every 2 days, but I like having that habit, is you start to gain a lead over your content. So if you take me, for instance, so I have, videos online, but I have my content ready and written in for to August 2021. So I'm like 13 months ahead of my content because I post every day. Excuse me, I post every week, but I write a new one every day. So by the end of the year, I'll have 180 scripts, but I'll have only posted 26 because there's only 6 months left in the year, which means I'm 3 years ahead of schedule. So that gives you a lot of relief so you can keep the blog going.
Now, here's my question with that. How do you keep things timely?
Good question. Usually, when it comes to timely, by timely you mean making the content timeless or making sure you're on time every week?
Timeless. Like, obviously, if you did a topic related to like the pandemic 3 years from now, we hope to God we're not in this. But, do you just make it just that evergreen kind of work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it always depends on the blog, but for me, I've always been focused on what you said, which is creating timeless pieces of content. But what I will say that Seth mentions a lot and that really matters in the context of our conversation is the only way that you get to perfect is by getting it done first. So for instance, half of the blogs and the posts that I write, I can tell are pretty bad. But over time, as I look at the blog and as they improve, I can tweak them another day. Because it's just mentally exhausting to try and come up with something perfect in an hour. So, what you want to do is you want to write something that really speaks to your audience. And the best way to do that in a timeless fashion is just ask the nurses what they care about. So, I can give you an example. One of my clients is the CEO of a nursing staffing company in Seattle, and she had to give a presentation to 200 nurses on what the future of the industry looks like and like what she learned from her nursing career. And what I told her was the best way that you can speak to that audience, whether it's in written format or in the presentation she gave, is to just have coffees with them and discussions. So she just got a bunch of Zoom calls with a lot of the nurses to kind of understand what their struggles is, whether it's passing that exam or whether it's, how do you manage all this stuff and still have a life? And she just covered all those topics.
Oh, how nice is that? Because you have to speak to the people you are truly writing to. Because as the writer, as the owner, sometimes you're even out of it too far. And, even the basic questions that they have, you have to circle back around and really understand what they want and deliver that. And I feel like those are the most successful people are the people that do that because they're listening, they're in on the audience. They know what the audience wants. So that's a great tip. Um, so what I was going to ask you was the benefits of writing every day. So what other benefits besides getting ahead have you found? And I kind of sifted with the one thing you said is that your writing gets better.
Yeah, and I love the question. I think the biggest benefit, because I understand completely, well, maybe not in the shoes of a nurse, because I'm sure you all work much harder than I do, but in the sense
In a
of
different way. In a different way.
in a much more different, yeah, for sure. Let's just say I have a lot of respect for nurses, but I think the idea is the reason you want to write every day, even if it's just 30 minutes, is so that you win the day. So if you spend 16 hours a day working, and I'm sure you all do meaningful work, but at the end and you go, oh, I didn't work on my blog today, it doesn't feel that you won the day. But at the other hand, or the other end of the coin, if you write that blog, even if it's terrible, and it's for 500 words and you get it done, you feel a sense of accomplishment. And if you get that small win over time, over multiple years or even just a couple of months, it'll really start to build up your confidence, not only as a writer, but as someone who has something important to say.
That is so true. And nurses, I'm going to speak to you for a minute here about how to fit this in your day because I know, working 16-hour shifts or 14 hours, like you're freaking exhausted by the end of the day. And what I would do, what I have done in the beginning of your day, get up a little bit earlier. You don't need, I don't know, an hour to do this. You can do this in less than 30 minutes, truly. If you are just voice texting it or voice recording it or even just typing it out. If you are, I've heard a couple things. So I have done all of these. One of them is go on a walk. Go on a walk before your shift and make it a mile long walk. And I know it's earlier, you got to get up a little earlier, but who cares? You're not only going to clear your mind because you're walking and that nature feel for whatever reason just clears your mind, but you can record while you're doing that. The second thing, you're obviously going to get some exercise out of that, so that's always a good thing. And you'll just feel prepared for your day and that you already won the day in the beginning of the day by writing. The second thing you could try to do is if you are a person who likes to work out in the morning, you can ride a bike, ride the stationary bike and type in your phone. If nobody's around you, you could talk into your voice text as well, but that might look a little crazy if you're sitting there talking to yourself. But hey, you can
I
give it
I
a
do
try.
that even if there's people around me.
Yeah. Well, they might think there's something wrong with you, but they don't know that Brenden is very successful in what he does. So, and my friend Abby, she was saying the other day, sometimes she just has to go on a walk by herself and just talk her thoughts out and get them organized. And she goes, "So I look crazy." She goes, "So I throw in like a headphone to make it look like I'm talking to anyone." but I'm really not. It's what we do.
That's a
It's
pro
what we do.
tip. I love that.
It is. So, that's how you can kind of fit it in your day. The other thing you can do is also as you're driving, you can hit the voice record and start recording on your commute to work or commute home. There's nothing wrong with that too. And I don't think that's unsafe driving. Just pretend there's somebody next to you in the car that you're talking to. So just be safe about it. So those are some tips on how to fit that in your day. But I agree with you, Brenden. There's nothing better than getting that writing down and feeling accomplished with it, because you will feel some sort of accomplishment and like you've won the day. So awesome. I love that. On the show, I'm always talking about delegating things. And one of the things I've definitely delegated / automated in my life is groceries. And I use the Walmart grocery app. You guys can go over to www.thesavvyscribepodcast.com /Walmart grocery and receive $10 off your first purchase. I have actually used Walmart grocery when we've gone on trips. You can actually add groceries to your cart, the Walmart you want to pick it up at, and when you get to your destination for vacation, just go and pick up your groceries. Easy as that. Another way we use it is when it's a nasty, nasty storm outside and I don't want to take my kids out of the car. Talk about lazy, or talk about delegation and automation. That's what I'm talking about. Head on over to thesavvyscribepodcast.com /Walmart grocery to save $10 and never go grocery shopping again. Take that time and now use it in your business.
This episode is brought to you by my very own course, Plan, Create, Launch, Land, and Grow Your Health Writing Business. Inside this course, you will find the complete roadmap from knowing nothing about freelance writing to launching your very own profitable health writing business. With 45 plus lessons and an opportunity to earn CEUs, why wouldn't you try it out to escape that bedside burnout? If you want to start a new PRN job instead of picking up more and more hours extra at the bedside job, join me and plenty of other nurses by going to www.thesavvyscribepodcast.com and click on courses. Back to the show.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Of course. And I think, the other part that we can talk about is kind of how to stay motivated, because I know a blog isn't the most.
Yeah, you can start off real good, but then what?
Yeah, and then what, right? So I think the key, and this is an exercise I give to a lot of the people I work with that you can all do as kind of a takeaway from today's conversation, is what I call the love letter exercise. So what you want to do is you want to write a love letter to the person you're making the blog for. And the more specific you are about that individual, what do they like, what do they don't like, what do they dream about, what do they believe in, you'll be a lot more motivated to say, I'm not writing this blog for me. I'm writing it for Jennifer, who needs that little spike of encouragement and motivation to get her day started so that she can keep helping her patients. Or if you're helping somebody else in the medical field. Or it could be, in my case, it's a 16-year-old girl named Julia. Because, Julia wants to make an impact in the world, but she can't afford a speech coach. So when she goes on YouTube and types public speaking tips, she just finds a bunch of old dudes who don't really know anything about public speaking. So she's not really encouraged to share her message unless I did something about it.
I love that. That's very good. And, you guys, even if you have, we do assignments as well from clients. So, think about that person that you're writing for, not just your client, but their audience. And if you have a topic in mind or they've already given you the assignment, start speaking about that. Start using your own thoughts before you even start researching it too much, because you want your own thoughts. Nobody likes that article that looks like it's copy and pasted from another website that seems like it's the same type of content. So definitely that love letter exercise, I love that. I actually have used something similar to that when I've tried to write out my sales pages and stuff for my website, when I have to put myself in the shoe of the nurse and why they would want to become a health writer. And it's been very helpful. So that's awesome. I think we're definitely going to use that as a motivational little task there for sure.
Love that.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think the last thing I think that is important is kind of thinking about the people who actually are able to write blogs all the time, like Seth. And I think Seth's a good example here for us to consider, because he doesn't need to write blogs anymore, right? He's been doing this since 1989. He's a multimillionaire. He gets paid so much money to do what he loves. So he has no incentive whatsoever to keep writing a blog. So why does he still do it anyways? He does it because the message that he has to share matters. So I'd encourage all of you to think about what is the end game? And if you start from the end and say, in 5 years, I want this person's life to be transformed, I want this person's life to be inspired and changed, it'll be much easier to stay motivated day to day. Because there's so many days that I wanted to give up on Master Talk. I started the channel when I was 22. Who was I to share public speaking tips with the world? Right? Because a lot of people just said, you're a
Sure.
kid, like you have nothing valuable to share. But the other side of the coin that's more valuable for us in this discussion is saying, who doesn't benefit from me not sharing it? So who suffers when I decide not to take action? And for me, it's every 16-year-old who's looking for someone in their 20s, who's looking for someone young to say, if I can do public speaking, so can you. So that's kept me motivated throughout.
I love it. Are you getting some feedback from younger people? Do you notice?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I speak at a lot of conferences for teenagers. So I'm fortunate that I get that direct feedback from people. But for those in the audience, I know it might be harder for you to get that same direct feedback since you're not out there presenting, but rather writing a blog. So I'm sure a lot of the concerns that you'll have that I had at the beginning is who's reading this thing anyways. So
Sure.
I think one way of doing this that could help is what Seth calls first 10. So what first 10 means, especially if you're new to blogging, is you want to send your blog to 10 people that you know it'll help, and then the 3 people that will come back to you, if they say it's transformational, get on a Zoom call and ask them why. So then as they explain, it'll start to make you feel that you're doing something important, and you'll know exactly why it's important to people.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. So I'm curious, Brenden, were you always a good speaker? Like as a kid, were you always like picked in your class to give a presentation? Did you have no fear behind that?
That's the $1 million question, Janita. Glad you asked it. You know, the reason why I'm so passionate about public speaking is exactly that, because I was absolutely garbage at public speaking. Like, just to give an idea for people, since most of the people listening, I'm sure, are Americans. I grew up in Montreal. So Montreal in Canada is a really weird city where you have to actually speak multiple languages to be successful in it, because French is a required language there.
Yeah.
So I went to a French school my whole life and I was educated in French. But here's the issue, is I didn't know a word of French. So not only was I uncomfortable with presentations my whole life, I had to give presentations in a language I didn't even know.
Oh my
So when I was
gosh.
so I would just go bonjour, and I would just panic.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So if I can master public speaking, or writing, or whatever skill you want to put on the table here, I'm sure that you can all do an amazing job blogging and sharing your ideas with the world.
Wow. What a story. What a story. So tell us where people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell people I'm not famous like Janine over here, so
Oh,
feel
yeah,
free
right.
to so feel free to send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Master Your Talk. I answer all my DMs, so don't be shy to connect. If you have any questions about anything, writing, blogging, conversation, just anything, I'm always open. And feel free to check out my YouTube channel as well. It's Master Talk in one word if you want to improve your communication skills, whether that's presentations or writing.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to subscribe right after our call here, and I appreciate you coming on. I always ask my guests too, so you might have to think for a second, but it's 3 things that people wouldn't know about you. What are some like unique things about yourself?
Wow, usually people ask me for one. You got me for
I
three.
got
Okay.
3.
You got three. Okay, so one similar thing is a misconception people have about me, is that people think I'm really nice, because I share all these
You're
videos.
really nice.
No, I'm not really nice at all, actually. I'm just a terrible person. No, I think what a lot of people have wrong about me is the person who needs Master Talk the most is actually me. Because if I don't have a mission, if I'm not working on something important, I get really bored really quickly. So this is more for me than it is for anyone else. So I'm pretty selfish in that regard. So that's one thing.
Love it though. I think anybody who's an entrepreneur, I think that's totally they do it for themselves because if not, they just don't know what to do with their time.
Exactly. Oh yeah, that's me.
What would you do? You'd be so bored. I
Let me-
can't stand when people say they're bored. I'm like, well,
Let me
go
tell
do
you what I
something.
wouldn't do is yell at a kid I don't have. That's for sure.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
What's another one?
Yeah, I gotta think about this. Okay, so right. So here's something I like to talk about. So I speak 3 languages, but I can karaoke in 8.
What?
Yeah.
No,
So I
like what
speak.
languages?
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna ask me that. So I speak English, French, and Tamil because Tamil's my mother tongue and French is what I grew up with. But I can also karaoke in Mandarin, Hindi, Spanish, Japanese, and Korean.
How?
So yeah, you're like how?
That's all I want to know.
So the
How do you do
trick
this?
is, and this actually I learned later in life that this helps really well with your pronunciation on a side note. Because if you can pronounce words you don't understand, it's really easy to pronounce words you do understand. It's like a side note. So anyways, the short story, what happened was I got really into Korean music and Japanese drama and Korean drama. It's like a
Uh-huh.
bunch of shows. So what happens is in those shows, there's theme songs at the beginning that are much longer than American. So let's say you have a Netflix show on in the U.S. You know, the theme song isn't like a song. It's like a little, a small little music track or something for
Yeah.
10 seconds. But in Japanese and Korean culture, it's actually a song. Like it's a song, right? So anyways, I just started singing along, and a lot of my friends were Asian in college, so we just went to karaoke together, and I would just sing all these weird Koreans. I don't sing well. I just want to point that out. I can just pronounce the words really
But
well.
that's what matters when you don't even know the language. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I understand a little bit because my son is into like the manga series and
Yeah,
books
as
and
I am. Yeah.
yeah, he likes K-pop. He likes a lot of different anime kind of like I don't get it. Like it's above me. That's what I always tell him. I go, you think at a different level, son. I love it
That's
though. Like it's
that's exactly the stuff I'm into.
see, you guys get along. You guys get
Yeah,
along.
yeah.
And he actually is a very good public speaker for he's the one who's at Chick-fil-A right now working. He's
There you
only
go.
15, but he has like no fear and he's always been so outgoing with that. I mean, he's kind of shy, but not really. I mean, he opens up very easily to people, but yeah, it's very interesting that you guys how similar you are. That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot of great stuff. Anyways, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I want to hear your last one.
No, the last one, jeez.
Oh,
So there's that. What's the other words? Oh yeah, I dance alone in my basement an hour a day.
you
I
do
just love
just
it. Yeah, I just
any
love it.
kind of dance? What kind of dance?
Yeah, mostly to Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift, but
Love it. I
yeah,
love
it's
it.
just a good pastime. Because usually I go to a lot of like dance parties, but since that's not really happening right now, I
Well, you
just
gotta
do
dance
my
by yourself.
yeah, I just dance by myself in my
Now, see,
basement.
you
So
and Zach does hip hop dance, but
oh no,
he
I'm not good. Once again, he's probably
no,
good. I'm
he's like
not.
good. He tried to teach me one day. Me and my two friends. And I have to tell the story because we were having like a cookout, and I'm like, all right, Zach, show us what to do. Show us how to do this. And he's like, all right, mom, like this is so easy. Like I taught Jimmy it, my 7-year-old. Okay, all right, well we're ready. We're ready to do this. We were not drinking. We were totally sober, and we still couldn't do it. It was like 5 moves, and we just looked ridiculous. Like
I love that.
he's just laughing, like, "Mom, this is why you're old. Get out of here."
Oh, that's not nice.
Oh yeah,
What kind of
well,
son is this? I'm kidding.
right. So yeah, well, that's really cool. Well, continue your amazing things, Brenden. You are really an inspiration to so many young kids, I'm sure. And I think just keep doing it. Obviously, you're doing it for yourself, but you are doing it for so many people with the communication thing. It's such a lack. Like a lot of people just don't know how to get their message across and they get nervous about it. And I think you show that you don't like I've watched your YouTube videos. You don't look nervous at all. And you said you script them. Do you memorize it or do you just have that outline in your head?
Yeah, so the trick with those videos, and one thing I want to point out is, yeah, sure, I'm good on camera now, but you should watch the first videos that I started with in my basement alone, without any light, with my phone. So it's a
You got to
process,
start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you'll get better over time. That I can pretty much guarantee.
I think too
Definitely.
that's with anything. Like people are so scared to do just Zoom calls sometimes or live events on Facebook or whatever. Like they get very, very nervous. And I'm like, it is scary. I remember being scared the first time. Now I'm like, oh shoot, I have a call in 5 minutes, and it's like a no big deal kind of thing. So
Absolutely.
it definitely takes time. Well, geez,
can
I really appreciate all of your tips, and I think everybody will. So you guys try the little exercise, try using those tools he gave. I think they're really going to be helpful in growing your blog or just growing your business and taking those, lessons we learned today over to your clients and even helping them with that as well. So thank you, Brenden, so much for being on the show, and we'll talk again soon.
Of course, Janine. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care.
You do all the best.